Tomorrow is the highly anticipated September FOMC meeting where we're expecting either a 75-point or 100-point basis hike. Let's dive in to see what might happen. Checking out this chart, it basically shows us how CPI, which is a core inflation metric, will impact the federal funds rate and potential rate hikes moving forward. And based on current inflation metrics, we are in kind of the red box area, which would mean that a basis hike of 75 points is more likely than not. As we can see here, the data from September 13th, where consumer price index came in at 0.1%, that matches up with the diagram that we just looked at, meaning it's a pretty good metric right now to assume where the federal funds rate is going to be moving forward. Right here we can see the Federal Reserve statement, and the previous, which means where we currently sit for the federal funds rate, is 2.25 to 2.5%, meaning a 75-point basis hike would line up with a federal funds rate of 3.02 based on our diagram, which is where we want to be. This is the S&P Equities futures chart. If we get a 75-point basis hike tomorrow, I would expect us to rise to the top of this next POC, which coincides with the previous range that we traded in prior to the weekend nastiness. And that level would be about 39.50 on the equities futures chart. Looking at the Bitcoin chart, that would likely put Bitcoin at a price of around $20,000, potentially 19.7K from the current price of 18.9K. So 75-point basis hike, definitely bullish for equities and crypto. Back to the equities futures chart, if we end up getting a 100-point basis hike, which would surprise the market, which might be helpful to what the Federal Reserve wants to do, but would definitely be a big surprise. Equities futures would likely drop from the current price of $38.42 all the way down to $37.50 or lower towards $36.50. Now we may see a bounce at that $37.50 level, but it would definitely be bearish for equities. Back to Bitcoin, if we see a 100-point basis hike, then we are likely moving lower to 18.4, potentially 17.7 from the current price of 18.9 if we get a 100-point basis hike, meaning that would be pretty bearish for the rest of crypto as well.